All right, welcome back to What's Your Everest? I'm Karla Steingraber, a clinical and sports psychologist and your host. Today, we're exploring one of the most unique positions of all sports, the goalie. Whether it's hockey, soccer, or almost any sport where one person stands between the opponent and success, the goalie lives in a world that most athletes never truly experience. They can spend long stretches of time waiting only to have a game, a season, or even a championship come down to a single moment. When things go well, they're heroes. When they don't, everyone notices. What makes someone choose that role? What does it feel like to carry that responsibility? And what can goalies teach the rest of us about pressure, confidence, resilience, and bouncing back from mistakes? To help answer those questions, we've assembled a unique panel. Mike Condon joins us today. Mike played goalie in the NHL and experienced the pressures, expectations, and mental demands that come with competing at the highest level of professional sport. We're also joined by Robert Jones Black, a former collegiate soccer goalkeeper who now coaches goalkeepers and helps develop the next generation of athletes. Robert brings both the player and coach perspective to today's conversation. And we have young Beni with us as well, a hockey goalie who is living the experience right now. While Mike can tell us what it's like to play in the NHL and Robert can reflect on years of experience, Benny gives us a window into what it's like being a young goalie, navigating pressure, expectations, and development in today's youth sport environment. So, gentlemen, thank you for being here. Let's start with a really simple question. What's something about being a goalie that people who never play the position just won't fully understand?
You go first, Mike.
Oh, geez, what is something that people won't understand?
Yeah.
I would say one of the hardest things is that you can't go out and assert yourself. I think is the hardest thing. So most other players in the field first of all, they're moving a lot, so they get to go out, they get to move, and they come back. And when we're moving, we're generally not as cognitive, we're not as thinking as much. But I think one of the most frustrating things is there's obviously a desire to make a save or to win the game, but you really have no impact in terms of you going out and asserting yourself and making that happen. It's almost like opposite of our kind of psychology and our biology to sit back and receive and wait for that moment. And that is very, very demanding. And I think is one of the biggest issues that goalies face. You want something so bad, but you can't go out and get it. You have to sit there and wait and receive. And that is a very, very tough place to be. So I think that's probably mine, the one thing that people don't really understand.
Yeah.
And I'll build on that a little bit, and I hope I don't isolate myself onto an island where Benny and Mike go, I don't do that. But if that's the case, it's the case. I think to Mike's point, we're in a position where we are very reactive. We don't get to really cause a situation to transpire. We're actually stopping a situation. But I think a lot of people probably would not understand or look past the fact that to me, there was a big split in my personality in the net where you want the big save, you want them to come down, you want action. But the bigger that the competition got, or the moment, or the game, or the championship was, the more I had fear that I had to fight off and say, I don't want them to break our defensive line. I don't want to be put in the position because I feared giving up the goal. So I think in important games, goalkeepers are having a mental battle inside of, I want to be a part of this. I want to contribute. I want the big save. And then when it starts happening, you start going, uh-oh, I don't know if I want this. So that's my 2 cents.
How about you, Benny?
I agree with you, Robert, because it's very challenging. But I think what also some people don't notice about goalies is it's just so much mentally that it really mentally wears you down, and you're like, is this worth the risk? Is it worth risking so much to fuel that? Because you really need to be very mentally strong because it takes a lot of determination and overcoming. You're sometimes scared to play a game because you're like, oh, what if this happens? You're scared of the unknown, and then you can't control the future. But that's why sports is fun too, because you never know what's gonna happen. And I think it's just if you are not happy with what happens, there's not you're probably going to get blamed if you play bad. Like, it's very mentally challenging, and there's nothing you can do if a mistake happens, because other players, they're not going to see it. On you, it's in the scoreboard. Everyone's going to see it. Even the parents and the people in the stands, they're going to see, oh, what happened there?
So, is it ever fun to be a goalie?
It's the funnest thing in the world, in my opinion, too, because it's like
It's like a roller
when
coaster.
you make a big save, in my opinion, the adrenaline is crazy, and you also get a lot of praise if you play well. But if you play bad, it's not the funnest thing, but it's still fun because it's always a challenge. And being a goalie is always fun because you're the backbone of the team and you have your own job. And I kind of feel like it's like makes me special, and I feel like I'm very like I can impact whatever I do in this game, and I have a lot of control. Yeah.
Well, it really seems like it takes the right kind of personality to be a goalie in the first place. What's your experience, Mike and Robert, on that?
Ooh, the personality analysis. I'm not sure what the MBTI or the Myers-Briggs says about which personality fits. Yeah, a little bit of maybe individualism, I think, or just I can't really classify it into the personality per se, but it's somebody who is okay almost kind of being introverted or being okay with being alone, because that's one of the other things too that exists in goaltending, is that nobody does this what you do. It's a different sport in the gym, it's a different sport in the ice, it's a different body type that you need to have. And coaches and players don't really seem to understand that, or they get scared and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk to the goalie and mess them up. But in terms of a personality, I just think it's someone who maybe, look behind me. Like, I got into it because there was an expression of like painting a mask, and I'm like, oh, nobody else can do that. I can maybe differentiate myself or express myself that way. Or I just like the colors. I can't remember when I was 10, but I think it's that individualism, or maybe that introvertedness in a good way, that calls certain people to the position.
Is it the same in soccer, Robert?
Yeah, I think ultimately, I mean, you look at the goalkeeper position in general, and if it's lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, the person that's in that net, I think, has a level of being able to handle adversity, letdowns, things like that. And we learned the long way. Like, it's interesting to think about Beni, where he is with his journey, and uh, and my ability, or inability, I should say, to handle defeat was a lot different when I was 10 years old to when I was playing competitively in college. But I think I agree with Mike that there's an independence, a confidence in independence. I laugh and say that I kind of jumped into the goalkeeper position. I'm tall, so I'm 6'5". So my youth coaches would put me in there automatically. And then I think it started becoming, well, you're a lot better back there than you are on the field. So to me, it started becoming a guarantee to get playing time, was kind of like the thing. And then to Mike's point, goalkeeper jerseys are different than everybody else's. And we get to wear goalie gloves. And, there is a really unique thing to that. But I think that beyond the independence, I think for goalkeepers, there's a level of bravery. In all of them, they are a dangerous position. You're very vulnerable. You're kind of exposed in certain situations. But we have moments, it's microseconds, where our mentalities give us the courage to go into the line of fire. So for goalkeepers, the danger zone is a one-on-one 50-50 ball. We have no padding, no protection, and we're going into the feet of the attacker. But we don't think about it. It just happens. And I see when I'm training goalkeepers, I see some goalkeepers that have that and some that don't. And the performance shows. You can see if you have a slight kind of tentative on any decision because of fear, it exposes the goalkeeper so quickly.
So, would you, in that case, rather have a goalie who's technically perfect or mentally tough?
Mm. I don't. I think it's hard. It's hard, but I'll go first, and then maybe Benny and Mike can come in. Obviously, technically perfect would be wonderful, but if technically perfect doesn't mean that you're going to save every shot, and you don't handle when you get
Right.
scored on well, or you're not, a supportive teammate or anything like that. I think that I want a goalkeeper that does not break down when something does not go their way. There are situations, Mike has had it, I have had it, and I bet Benny's had it, where you get jumped on early in a game. You give up 3 goals early. I want the goalkeeper that looks the exact same way in minute one that they do in soccer, minute 90. That nothing, if it was 10-0 win, 10-0 loss, they look and are acting the exact same way.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I can answer it, but I'll say I do like looking at the mentality.
I guess it's something that carries over into life when you're mentally tough, right? And you can be technically perfect and still the goal gets in, right?
Yep.
Kind of to Rob's point, like when I had the opportunity to be a coach, and in that I had to do some scouting too. Of like they would give me a list of guys, and they have the technology is crazy now. Like you can go in and see
Yeah.
every person's game that they played in their entire like career almost. And at the collegiate level, if you're on somebody's list, you kind of have this like at least the baseline skills. The thing that I would look at is I would go look at the game where they let in the most goals, and I would go to the third period at the end of the game, and I would just look at body language and behavior. Are you still fighting? Are you still competing? I want to see the 8 goal game because that's where, we learn who you are. Adversity spares no one. You're going to have those games, especially now with hockey. It seems like everyone's given up a touchdown at least once a month, which is a tough thing. So I want to see you when you are at your most fragile or vulnerable. That's when we truly reveal who we are. And that's what I also like to tell goalies too, is that the people who matter, who are watching and scouting in that process, they're trying to figure out who you are. They can watch the tape, but who are you? And that is really shown when your back's up against the wall and it may be not your night. You can still show a lot of great things, even though that's not going your way outcome wise.
Yeah. So go ahead, Benny.
To Robert's question, I agree with him. Think that both is good, but I think it is harder to build like a very mentally strong goalie than a very technical. Because if you're willing to learn to become technical and you want to be really good and you work hard, you're going to be really good. But mentally, it's super hard because that's like a muscle that a lot of people don't train. Like, it's like
Mhm.
not a lot of people go and have coaches who say, oh, you need to train this in your brain mentally. There's not a lot of that for goalies. Like, you have to reach out and find it. You can't just say, oh, I want to work on this mentally. It's not a lot of people know about it. So I would go with mental.
There's something interesting there too, Carl. I want to hop in real quick on the coaching side. That as I'm teaching a technique to a goalkeeper, so for soccer goalkeepers, surprisingly, it's the feet. It's not the hands. I mean, we work on hands nonstop, but it's really trying to get the coordination of how the feet take you into a dive. And so I've started really, to Benny's point, talking about the mental, where I will say to them, before you start this drill, visualize it first, go through it. How do the feet feel? What's the speed of the feet? And then we'll say, okay. And a lot of times you see drills where there's a lot of repetition. It's tying in some cardio to it, things of that nature. I think when you're teaching technique, you have to slow everything down, take it one by one, let the goalkeeper really understand what function they're trying to get. And so, therefore, my point on saying that is to become technically perfect in most cases, you've got to have growth mindset. You've got to have the ability
Mhm.
to take the hard advice from the coach, to have tough skin. There are all these things. I think that's what makes a person elevate in their game, is that they have the ability to be coachable. And if they're not, it
Yeah.
eventually exposes itself.
They also have to be mentally tough because if they're not mentally tough, they're very talented, but they're going to burn out eventually because they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to play. And then all their perfect technicality is all wasted because they were not mentally tough.
Mike, what about you? When did you first realize that being a goalie in the NHL is as much mental as it is physical?
Mm, the mental I always try to think about this, especially when I'm working with different age groups of clients. It's like when does it start to change? I'm not sure how old Benny is, and I really want to hear how he's dealing with that. But for me, I was like, when did this transition between like pure fun and joy and all that switch to like this is a little bit more serious now? And I think it's when you realize that something can be gained and something can be lost. And it's almost like, maybe you make a travel team and then all of a sudden the college coach is there and it's just like that first exposure, like at college or the next level. In your mind, you're like, oh, something can be gained, but also our human brains with the negativity bias is something can be lost then. And then right then and there for me, I think is the big change. And that happened to me at like 14, 15. I went to a prep school at 13, and all of a sudden you're in a hyper competitive environment. The pool just got smaller, the talent's greater. And it was kind of like this just slowly building of a pressure increase from the age of 13 all the way to 29. And one of the expectations that almost kind of bothered me a little bit is that I assumed that it would just get easier with time, with more experience, with more reps, getting used to it, so to speak. And I don't want to scare Benny because this is my experience. uh, it um, it never really crescendo to this thing where I felt comfortable, and that like kind of really bothered me. And then all of a sudden, the attention turns inward, like what's wrong with me if this isn't comfortable, or everyone's telling me how fun this should be, but maybe I'm not experiencing that. Then therefore the problem is within me, but that's not really the case. It's more of a call of you have something you need to understand. How do we go about understanding it? And that's a different journey for everyone. But long story short, around like 13 or 14, there was something that changed that really changed the game for myself and a lot of athletes that we work towards. Is this what could be gained and what could be lost?
Benny, I'd love to hear from you if that's changed at all. Because what I've noticed in my office is that younger and younger clients are coming where the fun has been tainted or started to get lost. And there is all this pressure of succeeding, and it becomes a lot. What about you, Benny? When has that ever happened to you at all?
I think it started like the start of like my last season
Mhm.
because then it
And you're
started like
35, right?
no, I'm 11.
Okay.
So
I'm 35.
Love
it, I feel like when it really came, my first year was like really mellow, but I started playing goalie when I was 8. Like that was my first exact year. I wasn't even a goalie. So what happened in the middle of the summer, I really wanted to be a goalie. I just had this burn to be goalie and everything. I did soccer and then hockey because I did hockey because I love hockey and I just got into the goalie. And then I tried goalie for the first like season. I played for the Stallions. Like I played for the worst team. I was like my first year playing hockey. I learned playing when I was 7. I just showed up there. And then one day in December I wanted to be a goalie and I tried it on. And then I finally got the gear. That's all I wanted for Christmas and I got the gear. And then I went to this camp and then the
Everybody's doing
coach
it for the gear. What's going on?
the
Yes.
gear.
no,
It's the
yes,
gear.
I just wanted the gear because I wanted to be able to play. And then once I got the gear, I went to a summer camp. And at the summer camp, the head of the director was the head of GDI, and he's the head coach for the goalie development at Mission, the AAA team in Chicago. And then he invited me to play for a very good team. I had like my first season. I was like a clueless goalie. I didn't know much about it. I just knew how to make saves and I knew how to play. But I didn't feel anything mentally because it was like, well, what is going on? It's like my first year playing like goalie for a real club, and I was pretty much just finding everything out. But then at the start of this year, it really like came in that it was like you want to be the guy for your team. You want to be the person who they will come to when the lights on everyone. Pulling comes in too. You want to be perfect in my as a goalie probably most of you guys because you just want to be like just great at everything and make no mistakes. But yeah, but then it really like started because then pooling happened and then you're really like alert and then you really care what happens. Like it just you can't hide from it. You have to do it and you never know what's going to happen, like about the unknown. You never know what's going to happen in the unknown. That's what I see here.
Said.
Yeah.
So very stressful already, even though you're only 35.
Yeah.
I mean, 11, right?
Yeah, but it's also very, like, if you play really well, it's like the best thing in the world. But it can also get, if you get pulled, it can also get very, very low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Benny, my son is taking after his dad, and he is now playing club soccer, club goalie. And the last game, the last tournament we had, he got, and it was, gosh, the most beautiful thing I've ever heard come out of his mouth. But he had the save. Like he's getting athletic enough that a big save, and it was on a free kick. And they went far post, heading towards upper 90, kind of like almost a chip over them. Backpedaled back, popped it right over the crossbar. And after the game, he was like, "Oh my gosh, the adrenaline I had after that save was the coolest thing in the world." And I was like, "Welcome to goalkeeping." I said, "This is what we chase. It's a dopamine chase, if that's a fair way to put it." And we get, these letdowns that happen frequently, and probably more frequently than those dynamic saves. But it's kind of, since I work in golf as well, it's kind of like a lot of people joke about golf always humbles you, but then will always give you that one shot that you go, "I'm not quitting." And I think goalkeeping kind of has the same thing. You are rewarded, and when you are rewarded, it is the best feeling in the world. I mean, there's just nothing that can match. Um, I saw the term. I talked to Bobby, my son, about it. Dream crushers. That's what goalkeepers are. We're dream crushers. Somebody has a shot that they're absolutely convinced they have put it upper 90, tucked it away, and all of a sudden, here comes, in their case, the glove hand or whatever. In my case, this diving body, and just rips their dreams right out from under them. We love that.
Yeah.
So, Benny, I think that's the thing for you, is you're going to have so many of those moments as you continue forward.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Mike would support me in the statement that there's probably going to be more of the adversity situations, the goals that you wish you had gotten back, or I love the touchdown reference, Mike, a 7-goal game or whatever in hockey. But man, just make sure that when you get that big save, you let that just wash the rest of the stuff out, because I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Is there a process after a game where you know you didn't play your best that kind of helps you through?
Yeah, you don't sleep.
I think you know what you did when it happens. Like, you know what you did wrong. I feel like if I have a bad game, I just think about it, but then you eventually have to let it go, because it can't always stay there, because it's not going to do anything. Because once it's over, there's nothing you can do if you just think about it.
Well,
But
all of you have had coaches. What's the best thing a coach can say to you after a bad game or a tough game? And what's the worst thing a coach could say?
After a bad game, just don't say anything. That's what I think would be great, because if they're like not a goalie coach, they don't know anything about goalies, and they just shouldn't say anything, because they have not experienced the position and they do not know what's probably going on in the goalie's position. And they should just not mention anything. They should not say, "Oh, you played well," if you did not play well. They shouldn't say you played bad. They should just let the goalie think about it, because I think they know what happened if you had a bit tough game and it didn't go your way.
Absolutely. I got to experience this as a player and a coach, and it's almost like the start of the year. We come up with how we're going to handle things in our processes, and it's like after the game, I'm just going to come give you a hug, whether good or bad, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to do some thinking the next day, absolutely, and you're going to do thinking too. But what's that called? Monday morning quarterback. When you get a good night's sleep, and then all of a sudden the film, like, you can watch it one night after the game and watch the next day. It is completely different. So it's almost like, is there any point in your emotional state after a tough game to do any critical analysis? And it's my experience, it's no. But also I also tell guys, like, don't run from those feelings. Like that's what processing it is. And it's like, if you've been taught emotional intelligence, it's like, do I feel embarrassed? Do I feel shame? Do I feel guilt? Do I feel disgust? putting words to that, that's what the processing is, and not running from that, trying to get rid of it. And I always like to say, like, the line of, like, you know, it's okay to put yourself in a pit so long as you bring a ladder. Because if you sit there and you face those things and you're like, okay, I'm experiencing this, if you're a competitor, if you have that resilience, something inside of us almost clicks on and says, like, okay, that's enough. And you need to kind of go through that, and that's what the ladder is. And then the next day, you kind of just say to yourself, the sun's going to rise. I have a process tomorrow. I may be backing up. I may be cut. Who knows? But when I wake up in the morning, I have a plan for what I'm doing, and that's all I really can do. And I think that's kind of an approach that I like to say is just like, hey, we're not going to do any thinking after the game. The game just happened. Go process in your own way, and I'm going to be here tomorrow. And then I think the last point is for everyone listening to an athlete too is I think we all have this reflex, and I think in the book it's called the writing reflex, which is when someone explains a problem to you or you went through something, you try to fix it for them right off the bat. And especially with this word should. It's like, oh, this happened. Well, you should. And it's like, that's not the time for that. Shoulding people, and that should be an alarm for athletes too. If you hear that should or that must, pay attention to that, because who knows what's behind that triggering word should or must. It puts a lot of guilt and onus on a person. Didn't mean to speak too long there, but should is a tough word.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's so relevant. And for young athletes, the ride home after a game with parents who are then already right away coaching their kids when, their kids need maybe 24 hours to process, like you're suggesting, and really kind of come to their own conclusions. Because most of these young athletes, as long as it's not their first season, they've gotten enough coaching to be able to reflect and identify the things that went wrong, and they've kind of have to workshop it with their coaches and not with the parents as much.
Yeah. And I think I want to add to it to, kind of a little bit of what Benny said and then some original thought too. But we tend to, I think, most of the time we feel like we know what we did wrong. I'll just go straight to that. We know what we did wrong. We don't need, especially, I love how Benny said, somebody that's not even a goalkeeper coach coming in and throwing a critique in right behind the mistake. There are goals where I would classify like wish I could have gotten, think I could have gotten, where it was a great shot and I felt like I had a step on it, but just didn't quite get there. And that's a different feeling than one where you made a mistake. Your angle was off. You got a late start. A lot of times goalkeepers, we do have to live in a world of anticipation. I think more than field players do, and you anticipate wrong. There's nothing there that you can really, someone can sit down and say, well, let's correct this. Like, well, I've corrected it. I know the second the ball went in the back of the net, I know what I should have done. One of the unique things that I've done as a coach, in more of the important game situations or whatever, I love what Mike said. And in the game, you go give a goalkeeper a hug. I mean, if I ever see a coach, and I haven't, thank goodness, berate or come down on a goalkeeper, I would have an issue with that. But I think the next practice, one of the unique things about goalkeeping is it's very situational, and it's very you can simulate the the goal or whatever. So what I do, and Benny, this would be a neat thing for you to do if you're not doing it. With your goalkeeper coach, I'll replay with the goalie the next practice. All right, so you guys scored on 3 times. Let's talk about those. Where were you? And we get in the mouth of the goal, and I'm like, okay, so the ball was coming from here, and I've watched videos, so I kind of know roughly where it all came from, how it started. And I let the goalkeeper just walk through what they did, and 99% of the time, they will get to that point where they say, I should have done this. And I go, yeah, maybe that would have been a better decision there. And I think that's how you learn. I think ultimately goalies learn from situations where they had to get the ball or the puck out of the net, that they rewind and kind of see, oh man, my angle was off there. And even in real time, in game time, they're making adjustments based off of those mistakes.
It's funny that works with learning math as well.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I can add scores up. That's about it.
I can do save percentage off the top of my head. I can do that really well. But I failed stats in college, which is weird.
Oh man, calculus kicked my butt. So
There we go. Benny, you good at math?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Ah,
Got a pretty good grade in math.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Problem solving.
Yeah.
well, I've got a situation for you. So the Carolina Hurricanes recently faced a situation that many teams deal with. On the one hand, you have a veteran goalie who's proven himself over the years, but right now his performance is struggling, right? And on the other hand, you've got a younger goalie who's playing really well, but just doesn't have the same experience. It's a really difficult decision that coaches face at every level of sport. So, my question to everyone is, when performance and experience point in different directions, what should coaches trust?
I talked to my goalie coach about this because when I was going to Germany, I had to learn. I wanted to do some hand-eye stuff that I could work on over here. And we actually had a really long talk about this because it's not really about who to trust, but it also really matters about the situation. Because if they're in Vegas when the game that after Anderson got pulled and Bussy went in, and that's in Vegas, and they're pretty crazy, and he's not been playing too well, and Bussy's been waiting very long, and he hasn't played for 3 months, and he goes in the middle of a game and he plays really well. But Anderson really already has a lot of experience. A lot is going on in his life right now. But Bussy played great. If Vegas wins this game, it's gonna go crazy next game. Next game is an elimination game to win the cup, and that really matters. So you should play Bussy because then what happens if they win? If they beat Anderson, then it's Bussy's first game, an elimination game of the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think he's ready to play in the Stanley Cup Final, probably the most important game of his life, an elimination. So I would put Bussy in because the situation is right for him to play.
Yeah, and I appreciate Benny bringing up the point too of sometimes people are kind of like fantasy football or hockey roster managers, and we completely kind of miss the human component. In hockey this year, there was a ton of displays of players actually advocating for themselves with mental health concerns. We have Victor Hedman taking time off. We have Linus Allmark taking time off. Last year it was Spencer Knight, and I forget the other one, but I mean, with something like Frederick Anderson, it was one of his mentors passed away, who was very, very close to him from suicide, and for that to happen, and then to go into a game, and he has that game, it's almost like he knows how to stop the puck. He's grieving. He's in an immense amount of pain. Is it fair to put him in that situation? And I think also in our culture, we always remember, I think it was Brett Favre, didn't his dad pass the day before a day? There's so many examples of people playing through grief that it almost becomes the expectation.
Michael
And I
Jordan,
just think,
even.
yeah, and it's it's great if you want to do that, but it sometimes you're not okay. And for Carolina to kind of protect Frederick, I mean, he hasn't even been practicing or anything like that. I think that's kind of a great move, and also have that depth and that belief in other guys. But to that question, it's just we are all icebergs, whether we're athletes or not. So much is happening below the water, and just the human side with clients I work with. We can talk about practice and routines to the cows come home, but it's also just hey, how's it going with mom and dad? I've not I haven't gotten. They've gotten so much better outcomes just from relieving that pressure, as opposed to no, I need to stick handle more. It's no, we are humans who happen to be playing a game, and that spares nobody.
Yeah. And
And I
Karla,
think that gets forgotten a lot, right? That athletes happen to be human too.
100%. And I think my reaction to this is very consistent. I live in North Carolina, so I converted from being a Penguins fan prior to the Hurricanes to slowly transitioning. And I think their coach, Brendan Moore, does a great job of adding the human factor into his decision making. My family and I, we've talked a lot about this decision because I think there's a kind of if whoever they decide to go into game 6, and then if needed game 7 or whatever, if Carolina hoists the cup at the end of the day, Brendan Moore made the right decision. if he makes another decision, if he ends up putting Anderson back in for game 7, because that would mean Bussy lost game 6. And Anderson loses. Now Moore's, he's the wrong side of being a goat. I mean, he is the scapegoat. He is going to be the reason, bad decision. Here's my take on it, and it's tough. I want Freddie Anderson. He deserves it. His story is unbelievable. I mean, he missed basically a season for blood clots, and he's had some injury prone and things of that nature. On the other hand, Bussy's story is absolutely phenomenal, and it's the one that I attach to. He's the underdog. He was playing minor league hockey to start the season. Got some time in because of Freddie getting hurt, and they lost their other goalie for the season, I believe, on an injury. All of a sudden, this rookie starts shutting out, and I think the most wins, consecutive wins by a rookie in hockey history.
Yeah.
It was 12, I think. And so I'm looking at that as a coach. I'm looking at how when he got thrown in the middle of the game, this guy is ice in veins. I'm starting Bussy. I'm going on the emotional decision. I think Freddie, there's a little risk of some confidence lost, just a little bit. I mean, he's a professional. He knows how to bounce back. Rob Brendamore even talked about how Fred, if you take him out for a couple games, the next game in is normally a shutout. I mean, so I get that. I just think there's a story here happening with Bussy. I think he's ready for that story. I think he rises, and I think he takes him out in Vegas. And if not, he'll finish it up in Raleigh.
So, Mike, in this scenario, if you were the veteran, what would be going through your mind?
The veteran. Yeah. I always, it's hard to explain how outcomes happen as a goalie. And sometimes I get out there, I get spiritual, I get a little woo-woo. I mean, for some reason, it's like you're sitting there, it's like, why did that puck hit the post? Or, I mean, as athletes, we're always asking, like, why is this happening? A slump, is it something? And we always kind of identify it's like something that we're doing. Whereas I kind of put my hands off the reins a little bit. And I said, in this game, in life in general, there are ebbs and there are flows. And when you're in an ebb or if you're sinking down, if you're in an ebb, it's almost like if you try to fix it by doing more is usually what the solution is, by grinding harder, at least in my perspective. Sometimes you just have to feel it and live it and use what Bert was saying earlier, this idea of bravery, just experiencing it, because you can't really do anything about it. So I've been in that situation before where, you played your last 5 games and you're letting like 30 goals and you're standing there and you're like, I have no idea. But that bravery, just the small win is just stepping on the ice. That is the small win, to sit there and say, I'm experiencing all this fear, anxiety, regret. I mean, every human emotion, and just say, I think it speaks to the intrinsic side of like, why do we play? Like, for me, it was, this game is so hard for me to play that just me stepping on the ice, at least I didn't give in to fear, or I didn't give in to anxiety. And all of a sudden I step on the ice, I have a small win. Okay, I'm here. All right. Then I play 5-minute games. We make it very, very small. And then the whistle goes after 5 minutes, there's a new 5-minute game. So if I'm Freddie, I'm probably doing that. But at the same time, it's just, as soon as you get that first touch, it's kind of funny. As soon as you get that first touch of the puck or the ball, it all kind of disappears, which is the scary thing too, is because like you knew that, like I knew that as soon as I get that touch or that save, all of the thinking I had that day would go away, but it would return with the next game, which was the thing that really kind of upset me. It's like, I know as soon as I get a touch, I'll be fine, but why do I still feel this way before a game? This pre-performance anxiety. It's a tricky thing. But Freddie's, when you play a lot, you've been in that situation a ton. If it was me, it was just, we're not going to try and fight and change the situation. I'm gonna reference instances where I've been brave before in my life, and at the very least, that lets me just stand up a little bit taller and face the storm that's about to come. And that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. And I think Freddie's got something there, Mike. I especially point to you on this one because of your experience at the professional level. The reason the Carolina Hurricanes are in the position they are in is because of Frederik Andersen's play in all of the games up to this moment. I think goalkeepers more so. I'm going to be careful saying this, but I don't know if I can think of a goalkeeper that's a prima donna. I think goalkeepers are very good at supporting each other. We look at our first stringers, second stringers, third stringers. We're a collective group. We look at each other as we're a team within the team. So I think Anderson can look at it if it ends up being Bussy that is in the net when Carolina hopefully wins the cup. I think Anderson looks at it and goes, I was a part of this. I know I wasn't on. Of course, he wants to be on the ice. Everybody wants to be on the ice. I think that goalkeepers have an ability to support each other and kind of root for each other. And I think in that situation, Frederick knows that he was a large part of the reason why they were in the finals to begin with.
I also think
So- Go ahead, Beni.
I also think one thing is that kind of for goalie, I think the coach chooses the person who is hot right now, like who is on fire right now, because you need to be on fire to make it through the playoffs. Like it's like you have to be perfect almost to make it to win the Stanley Cup. And I think like Carter Hart, look at him. He had 13 starts before the playoffs, and Vegas is basically here because of him too. And he was just started to get very hot 13 games before the season. Like that's a really good example of showing that they're going to play the person who is locked in. Yeah,
Yep.
that's all I was going to add.
Well, whether it's youth sports or college athletics or even the NHL, goalies often live with a lot of uncertainty. What do you think makes some goalies really thrive under that pressure while others really struggle?
That is a good question. What makes people thrive under pressure? I don't know, Bert. Do you have any thoughts on that? I'm still processing that one. That's I mean that's the question that we all
I
have
think
to say. Here we
I
are,
might
speechless.
I think I
We'll
might
let
have
Benny
something.
lead it.
Yeah, Ben, you take it.
I think what you need to thrive under pressure is I think everyone calls goalies weird. I think you just have to I think you just have to like just have fun, just like not care. I think that's what you really need to thrive. You have to kind of be careless. You have to know the right amount to care. If it gets into you, the nervousness and the anxiety, it's super hard to perform well because your whole body is like, and then you need to be like chill, and you just have to worry when you get into the rink and step on the ice because you're just not gonna perform well if you just worry at home or when you're relaxing because you're gonna get in your own head, and that's
Right,
not
you're
good.
not recovering then, right? Well,
Yeah.
Mike, you also when you said that, reminding yourself you've been brave before, I think that's also very relevant insofar that that's a piece of your identity and maybe your value system. And when you can see yourself as being bigger and more than any single moment or any single game or any single day, I mean, there's so much more to an athlete than just the score. And I think that's something that gets forgotten. Even the public kind of plays into this where there's all this commentary and critique and this and that. And sometimes I'm thinking, well, you should go try it. Let's see how you deal with this moment. But really being able to lean into your identity as being a good person, a good friend, a good teammate, a good student, good at math or not good at math or really great at golf, right, Robert? These are when we could lean into these identities that are beyond just this moment. It can let us step into a moment and say, well, but I am brave and I am resilient and I do show up and I do try my hardest. Those things can be so valuable.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing is just referencing even outside of life, like even outside of the game, like life stuff. Like I mean, I don't want to reveal too much about myself, but it's like growing up, like things were financially hard, and I remember my dad working so hard to make sure that the water bill was still on. We had hot water, and sometimes we didn't. Those things translate to those moments where it's like you can say to yourself, like, I may go out there and fall on my face tonight. That's fine. But what confidence really is, it's not that I'm the best. It's that no matter what happens after this game, I'm going to be okay. I have a
Yeah.
process. That's what confidence is. People, I think a lot of people get that confused, like confidence and swagger. I don't know that word.
Right.
Have some swagger, and it's like, well, some people don't have the capacity to have swagger, nor do they want to do it. Confidence is, no matter what happens after this game, I'm going to be okay. The sun is going to come up, and then I'll have a new challenge to face. Because, I mean, I thought I played in like life-changing games like the Winter Classic. Nobody cares.
Mm.
Nobody cares. It happened in 2016. No, you guys don't know, and I don't expect you to, but I also like to remind people it's like this may seem like a big moment, but everyone is all wrapped up in themselves that no one's thinking about you when you leave. No one's going to hold that against you. It's more so of that fear of, are they? And the reality of it is they're not. We're all doing it to ourselves, which is
Yeah.
kind of the comforting thing, at least.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
to me that thrive or fail kind of differentiator. To me, I think there's two words and one we've already used. And so one is resilience. I think goalkeepers have a different level and mentality around resilience. The other one is I think that I see most goalkeepers able to carry is accountability. I think goalkeepers have a very unique uh, perspective of being able to have like a discipline of I know what I did versus I know what my team or teammates did. I don't think we're ever, or I won't say ever, but we're rarely seen as finger pointers. I think when things break down and don't go well, we don't look at the team. I mean, there's certainly times where you got to try to charge your team up, or if you have a defender that's made a couple callous mistakes in a matter of minutes, I get that. But we're ultimately we're not finger pointers. We take it. We say my job is to keep the ball or puck out of the net. Does not matter what happened or what transpired to put me in that situation. It's now my turn. And we're accountable for that. We're accountable for what that result in that moment is. We make the save or we get scored on, and we're good with it. And that's where that slow churn of resilience is built and built and built. And Benny, your resilience that you have now, which by the way, just on this podcast, I'm going to say at your age, for you to be displaying the understanding of resilience and mental discipline is really fascinating. I always say, I wish people were talking like this when I was playing, because I think I really would have embraced the mental side. That's my mentality. But yeah, I think that over time you get that resilience. So Benny, when you hit 16 years old, 18 years old, and God bless, I hope you're still playing, and I hope you're playing at a high level. But your resilience at that level is going to be magnificent if you continue to just be accountable, that you understand what you can and cannot control and what you can save and not save. And to Mike's point, you kind of go through this cycle. It's like start of game, anxiety, first save, comfort, lock in, result, analyze result, drop it, move on. No one's going to care about it in a year anyway, or sometimes not even the next day. That's
Right.
that's how this system works. And then you end up becoming an absolute rock star adults because all goalkeepers are absolute rock star adults.
I have
100%.
I have one more thing that I think that would be helpful is that sometimes before a game, like I just think about these words. Everyone is gonna die one day.
Yeah, that's
I
very
got this from
comforting.
Devin
The
Cooley,
nihilism, nice.
and I know it's not. Yeah, it might sound a little bit weird,
You are
but
very
it
German, aren't you?
just, just, just like, just thinking about those words is that in the end, no one really cares. Like, no one's gonna remember this. Like, it's just a game. Like,
It's just a
why
game.
do we even do this? It's just for fun. Like, we just wanted to play sports and we just wanted to be goalies. And that's
Yeah.
why we're here. So there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing in the end of the day, there's nothing to worry about. Because
Yeah.
it's not going to affect your life for the most. It's not going to affect your life in any way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want
Just
to
a
end
game.
with a question that we ask every guest on this show. Everyone has an Everest, right? It's the challenge that tests who they are. For some people, it's an actual mountain. For others, it's a career challenge, a setback, a loss, a fear, a moment, even moment of self-doubt. What has been your Everest as a goalie, and what did it teach you about yourself? Shall we start with you, Benny?
I'm still climbing my Everest, But I think what it really is just like just embracing the anxiety and the stress of being a goalie, and just
Yeah.
like being completely mentally tough. And yeah, just so the the everything and the pressure and the worries go away, basically, so I don't have to be like thinking about it, because I have like these strategies, but sometimes it still creeps in before the big games when a lot is on the line. So
Yeah.
like you feel a lot is on the line, and then it's just very hard to stay mentally tough in those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Robert?
Yeah, I would say I'm in the photo album phase of goalkeeping, which means I'm looking back on all the great memories that I have locked in my head. But I think that if I really look back at my experience as a goalie, I think there was a chase to a degree. I think there was validation. I have a unique story where, and through my college career, went through a unimaginable amount of adversity from health to just everything, and being a backup goalie and being called into a starting role to first conference game of the tournament and posting a 120-minute shutout. Things like that that you look, but even when that game ended, I still was seeking validation. And so I'll kind of end with this, Carl. I think that's kind of the big thing. Mine was always, um, and it was probably all up here with me. What level, what do I want to see myself do in the net for me to say, I got to where my 10-year-old self wanted to get? And I think that was the chase. And here's the interesting thing to wrap that up. I think I peaked, even though I ended competitive soccer at the end of college. I was playing competitive uh, leagues around the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I think I peaked at 30. That was the
Mm.
fascinating thing. And then my last statement is I had not dove or made a save in 10 years. And in the girls' practice about a month ago, I stepped in the nets for the first time in 10 years and I let it rip. And I was like, I think I just closed the chapter. I'm good. I dove and made saves at 50 years old. Had to ice down the next morning, but that to me closed the chapter as a goalkeeper.
I love it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I guess I have two Everests. I have a current Everest from when I was playing. That is kind of like a gift from when I was playing, and that's more so like the chronic pain that came from years
Mm.
of doing that. Pain is a funny thing. It can definitely zap your energy and change your personality. So that's probably the Everest that I'm fighting right now, or working with, I should say, working with. But kind of to Bert's point too, I feel like on the other side of validation, as Bert said he was seeking, is like for me when I was playing, it was this the other side of it for me was worthiness, being worthy of all the things that you got. And I there's always these athletes that are going to have this no stone unturned mentality. They're going to do all the new interventions, the new gadgets and everything, and they're always seeking and looking and trying to find the next thing that's going to take them there, myself included. But in reality, if you're already at a level or at least in the mean of your peers, you already have it. And that's one of
Mm.
the things that is hard for people to realize is that like you already have what it takes, you already have enough. Yeah, you have to practice, yeah, you have to grind and all that stuff, but it's just referencing that it's not about always adding, it's about what can you remove. And I think that's a cultural thing too in our society. It's always like, what can I add to my stuff? It's like Bruce Lee has like one of the best quotes. He's like, it's not the daily addition or it's not the daily, I don't even remember the quote, but basically what he was saying, it's
But you
not the
live by
daily
it.
gain, it's not the daily increase, but the daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. And
Mm.
Yeah.
that is a much more healthy path to go down because it's internal as opposed to believing that, this new workout routine or this VR headset or this is going to cure me of what is going on. And no, you can hack away your worry about the future. You can hack away worry about self-consciousness. You can hack away the worry of validation, as Bert said. So I guess that's growth by subtraction. And I think that's a more tangible thing for people to grasp than, go out and do this, go out and do that. So that's kind of the Everest right now.
Well, excellent. That's a really good point to end on. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. This was really very interesting and informative.
Likewise, happy to
Love it.
be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And Benny, good luck to you,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
Enjoy everything outside of being a goalkeeper. I think that's the biggest thing.
That's
I'm not
right.
worried
gotta-
about you, Benny. You may be worried about yourself, but I'm not worried
No,
about you.
me
I think
either.
you're going to do just fine.
Thank you.